What is going on, everyone, and welcome to the Sports Talk on Tap podcast, where here you can find daily videos Monday through Friday covering all the four major sports leagues, NBA, NHL, NFL, MLB, you name it. We're here to cover whether it be games, even though there are very few, or, just do some rankings like for the NFL, wide receivers, all that fun stuff throughout this offseason. I'm Jake, that's Nick in it, but the one game we will be covering in the NBA is Game 5 that will happen tonight between the Celtics and Mavericks. Celtics lead the series 3-1, but it's only fair to Mavericks fans, to anyone watching this. We've covered every single game. This game happened Friday night, that we at least, give the Mavs their props. I'm not too big into overreacting. Coincidentally, this series and the NHL have played out the exact same, and both were just kind of ass whoopings in this one. For me, though, it was just kind of the Mavericks just wanted it more. They played more desperate. I had the honor of going to TD Garden for the watch party, as we were talking about offline. But boy, it was a good game, and it was just fun being there. The Celtics fans were ready, even though it was an away game. The whole downtown Boston was bleeding green. Bars were packed. Everyone was ready, and it's disappointing, obviously, that they did lose by 40, and they pulled the Stars basically like midway through the third. It was pretty much over for a while. It seemed like Derek Lively was getting every offensive rebound he could, and just the Celtics were settling. What else is new with that? Celtics settling on jump shots. And, it just seemed like the Mavericks wanted it more. The Mavericks just played a better game. Luka seemed much more in control of himself this time around, which was very important. Kyrie did his thing. And that's a huge credit to the Mavericks, and the Celtics really just couldn't buy a bucket outside of like Sam Hauser that was meaningless. And even Tim Hardaway had 15 points late, so that's how maybe he found his shot. Maybe he'll be able to produce something the rest of the series. But you know what? Credit to the Mavericks. As the great ones say, or as the legends say, the great ones always get one. They weren't going to get swept. And, were the Celtics probably celebrating a little bit? Maybe. But you know what? You're going to lose one. You can't beat a team like the Mavericks 4 straight times, most likely. And you know what? What it really comes down to is tonight, though. Obviously, huge game we'll talk about in a little bit. Game 5 tonight in Boston, back in TD. Place is going to be packed. Bars are going to be ready. Everyone's going to be ready to celebrate. Wondering what time the parade is. But Nick, first of all, before we get even into the preview, what were your takeaways from that Game 4?
My main takeaways was that it was pretty embarrassing. I was feeling the same way you just said, where like a lot of people just thought it was over at like halftime, and that's how I felt when the Celtics have 35 points and they're shooting like 30% from the field. Meanwhile, the Mavericks are knocking everything down, hustling for balls, hustling for rebounds. Like you could kind of tell it was over out of the gate and maybe early on Celtics fans are thinking like, oh, we can just have another comeback, blah blah blah, but like you can't be playing around with that every single game and thinking it's going to work out every single game, especially against a team like the Mavericks who are playing for their lives, hungry for a win, hungry to keep the series going. So it annoyed me for the past few days. I've been pretty annoyed at how they played, because I keep seeing people, all over social media saying, "Oh, they lost on purpose." They just.
I saw that too. And if that's the case, I hope the Celtics lose the series.
That's such bullshit. I think if you ask any player on any professional team, they would never tell you they purposely lost a closeout championship game just so they could play it somewhere else. Like, I think that's such horseshit. I think the Celtics just played awful. Like I think it was the least amount of points they've scored all year. They shot, I think at the end of the game, it ended up being like 30-something% from the field, which is terrible. Like, just everybody had an awful game. And hopefully you can just chalk it up as a dud, and it was just a bad game overall, and you can move on. But tonight's such a big game, and I'm honestly pretty nervous for it, because if you lose it, then you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, no. If anyone actually thinks they lost this game because they want to win in TD, you guys are idiots. If anyone actually thinks, and if the Celtics for whatever reason, did try. I hope they do lose the series if they try to lose, but no team would ever actually try and lose a game because
Right.
everyone has to think, all right, let's give the Mavericks a free win here. Let's head to game 5. Say Mavericks win that. Oh, shit. Now it's 3-2. Dallas won the last 2. We're heading back to Dallas where Dallas is going to be favored. If they win that, game 7, all the pressure's on the Celtics, really, even though it's a game 7. You don't want to be the first team to blow a 3-0 lead, never mind in the NBA Finals. So,
Right.
obviously, it was just the Mavericks playing better. But, yeah, no, I'm really excited for tonight because I think it's either Boston in 5 or if Dallas wins this – boy, it would be hard to not pick Dallas to at least bring it to 7. And then from there on out, it's who you trust more. And this was back when I made my prediction. Obviously, I trust the star makers of Luke and Kyrie. But how does Kyrie perform back in Boston tonight? That's a huge question because he's stunk it up. Does Luka keep his composure? Does people or players like Dante Exum step up like they did last game? Can PJ Washington finally get going? Can the Celtics just kind of shoot anywhere near they shot during the regular season from 3? Because Derek White has really not hit his shot this finals. Feels like the only consistent 3-point shooters been like Sam Hauser. So, can Boston's role players, also step up? And how does JT? I feel like the Celtics aren't going to win this series until we get like a huge JT efficient night game. I don't know what it is. It's my gut telling me like, there's no way they're just going to let this happen where JT kind of slides through, just kind of, coasting, being good, not great. They're going to need him to be at least great in one of these games for them to win, in my opinion. And I thought that was actually going to be game 4 where he kind of rises up when everyone's like, it's over. But JT's like, no, I'll finish the job. But maybe it'll be tonight. And that's what I'm excited to see. But we know Boston's going to be packed. It's just fun times around the city right now.
Yeah. One of the two Jays got to step up, whether it's Tatum or they both had awful games last game. And I mean, I know Tatum had, I think, like 15 points or something going into halftime. So he was like the only double-digit scorer, but they both had awful games shooting. They both know that, and I'm hoping they're both like kind of pissed off and trying to prove everyone that that's not who they are in a closeout game. And that, they can step up in a closeout game.
Yeah.
But they're going to have the chance to prove it tonight because, the stars are aligning for tonight. It's 617 day. I'm pretty sure it's the anniversary of when they won the last title. So, like,
yeah,
if there's a day to do it, it's today.
Or Boston area code.
Mm-hmm.
This day means a lot to Celtics fans, and it should be fun. I mean, no matter where you are watching it, it's going to be a blast. And, for Dallas, just enjoy this ride. You haven't been here you've actually probably been here than a lot most recent teams, even though it's already been like 15 years or whatever since like 2010 against the Heat. But this is going to be fun. I'm expecting it should be a much closer game regardless of who wins. Yeah. But just hoping for a great game. And obviously, if you're just a casual basketball fan, you want a game 6, kind of like me, because it only makes the story so much more interesting. But for someone like Nick from Boston, you want to close this out as much as possible because, if Luke and Kyrie, I feel like even get a sniff of like hope, they're going to capitalize and come back.
Right.
But it should be interesting tonight how this is Boston crowd. Do they rattle Kyrie again? We've talked about that plenty of times. But you know what? It was a fun time just being there and seeing how passionate these Celtics fans really are. Even in just a game where they're not playing, the stadium was packed. Fights were happening. So everyone was still committed. I was filming that I was on the other side of the stadium, but I did see that. Great time. But now get to watch from the analysis from my home expert, analysis, I should say. Same with you, Nick. Maybe not the expert part, though. But, it's going to be fun. And, obviously, like I said, hoping for a close game. But if I had to give my foul prediction, heart's telling me the Mavericks win this. So I'll just go with my heart. But obviously, wouldn't surprise me if the Celtics won.
Okay. I can't make a prediction. Still can't make a prediction.
I knew you would make a prediction. I respect it.
I think Kyrie's going to have a better game than he had games 1 and 2, though. Like he's ready to go. He wants to win this game in Boston, so that does worry me. Luka's always going to get whatever Luka numbers. Even on a bad night, he's going to put up like a 25-point triple double. Even on a bad shooting night. So
what it comes down to, actually, something we didn't talk about, what's Kristaps looking like? Because it's no coincidence that Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford have had their best 2 games these last 2 when Al Horford's having to protect the rim, 39-year-old Al Horford versus a lengthy Kristaps. I mean, I guess you could mark yourself up to being right that he was available to play.
Yeah, no, I wasn't right. I thought. But
yeah,
I mean,
didn't play a single minute, so don't know what the point of that was, but very interesting move from Coach Mazzulla.
Maybe it was like a tighter game, and they needed him out there for buckets.
But I was thinking like the only way they brought him in, they're down to 10 seconds left. He's out there to shoot. I don't know, something like that. Because either way, so Kristaps has basically been out the last 2 games. What does his stats look like? Does he play 10 minutes? Does he play at all? Is it the same thing as game 4 availability? I have no idea. We'll see, though. So that'll be also something to look out for in this game, his availability. Because, like I said, it's no coincidence. Derek Lively was feasting on the boards, getting dunks like it was in the Timberwolves series almost for him. So should be interesting to see Kristaps' availability, because that might change my opinion. If he is like fully healthy, I'd probably pick the Celtics in a close one. But I just don't think he is fully healthy. And although the 2 days rest, maybe make him like 75% to 80. We'll see though.
It's probably going to be the same thing they said for game 4 is, he's available, and depending on the flow of the game, whether it's a close game or not, he'll play or whatever. But I can't make any calls. Obviously, the only people that know are probably Joe Mazzulla and Porzingis himself. So I can't make any calls.
Yeah. I 100% agree. But with that being said, obviously, we can't wait to watch it, and we'll be here to recap it tomorrow. Make sure to like, subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.